Will the Euro USD test parity in 2025? And better yet, will it produce an opportunity? Those are the questions that I'm asking myself, and we're going to run through all of it today. And I'm going to show you guys a couple of charts. You're not going to want to miss this because we're going to take a look at the lower time frames, meaning the 4-hour and daily, and then also even high time frames, talking weekly and monthly. And the charts, guys, are incredibly self-explanatory, so you're not going to want to miss this video, so stay tuned. We're also going to talk about the DXY, the US dollar index. So last day of 2024, guys, Happy New Year. I won't be putting out a video tomorrow, but I did want to get this out just to show you exactly how I'm trading the euro in 2025. So first off, let's talk here what we've been looking at here, for the past few weeks and really months for the euro. So as you guys know, I was getting bearish on the euro USD back here when the market broke down below this range. So once we had the breakdown below this low, we saw a change in structure. So you can see that this high back here was swept and we had a range build up. Now, once this low was taken out, we had a change in structure. We also had the market breaking below trend lines like this through here and targeting areas like this, okay, down here. And the reason we were targeting this is, if you'll notice, and I've taken it off of this chart, but you guys, if you've seen videos, you know about this all too well. So we had a trend line here off of these lows right here, and you can see where we got a breakdown through this area. And my target following that was this pocket down here, specifically 1.035 into the end of 2024, which we got back here in November. Now, going forward, guys, what am I looking for here from the Euro USD? Well, first of all, you can see that this short-term trend line I've drawn on here because you can see where on the 4-hour time frame we did get some higher lows building up through here. However, we did get a breakdown on this 4-hour candle. So this was a textbook retest right here, really simple. Textbook retest right there and a sell-off. Now, you got to be careful because it is the last trading day of the year, really last day of the year. So, expect some erratic price action going into the close. But all in all, it played out pretty well if you caught this. Now, looking at the daily, I still think that we are going to get the move down here, potentially toward parity in 2024. And the reason for that, there are a few factors. First of all, we have an established downtrend since October. So that has not changed. Lower highs, lower lows. Don't fight the trend. Secondly, guys, we have the potential for a series of lower highs into support. Notice how we got the bounce from here, right? And then we had this high up here. We got the bounce from here. And so far we've had a lower high develop. Okay, so a lot of times when you get this kind of price action, this is a continuation for the push lower in 2025 in this case. Now, it doesn't have to be. Okay, the market could bounce from here, find support from here, and rally in 2025. But given the look of this, I do think that the move lower is the most likely scenario. And furthermore, I've talked about this before too, but I'm going to switch over to the FXCM chart because this shows long-term, even pre-euro pricing. And if you'll notice here, I've talked about this before, but looking at the weekly time frame, you can see that this weekly candle right back here, okay, this is significant because this actually put the Euro USD back above a critical level and triggered a multi-month rally for the euro. Furthermore, what you'll notice here is that this retracement following this candle, this weekly candle, was pretty shallow considering the size of this candle right back here. So this presents an imbalance in the market back here around parity. Now notice where this comes in, 1.00937. So literally about 6 pips below parity. And as I've said before, parity tends to serve as a magnet, especially the closer the market gets to it. So back here in this range, parity really wasn't a factor. But since we've had the breakdown from this range, this down here all of a sudden becomes a factor in Q1 2025. All right, so what I'm looking for here, and this is especially prevalent, guys, on the monthly time frame. If you go to the monthly, this could not be more clear, right? So you have this range that built up here for the euro, right? You have the range highs back here. So right there around 1.12, you've got the range lows, which are so far breaking down. And then you have this monthly high right back here. And notice this candle, guys. This could not be more clear. This monthly candle, there was no retrace. So following this candle right here, let's see, this was November 2022. You can see that in December, there was absolutely no retrace into this candle down here before the market took off. And again, that presents an imbalance down here in this area, which tends to serve as a magnet. And the fact that this is around parity, guys, I think points to the fact that the euro is likely to test this area in 2025. Again, no guarantees, but that is the most likely scenario in my opinion. Now, here's where this comes into play as far as an opportunity, okay? If we get the market the euro breaking below 1.035. I've talked about this before, but I would like to see, multiple days closing below here. Specifically though, if we could get a weekly close below, not necessarily this week, but sometime in 2025, if we can get the euro closing below this area on the weekly, then this area flips to resistance. And we're looking at the move down there toward that imbalance around parity. Okay. So that's what needs to happen here for this market to set up. Okay. Now that could be a short opportunity for the area around parity. Again, 1.00937 if you want to get really specific. Now, as far as the opportunity on the long side of things, if we get the EURUSD coming down here into this area, then I do think this could mark a bottom for the euro, at least short term, because things get a little bit tricky when you start looking at the high time frames, especially the monthly and even quarterly time frames. And I'll show you that in a moment because it is interesting. But really, I think that this could mark a short-term bottom for the euro. Now, here's where things get a little bit more detailed. If we see January open, okay, so let's say December closes here, January opens, and we get the euro trading right down here into this level. That right there, in my opinion, becomes a long opportunity for the move back here toward these range lows, right? So retest the bottom of this range. And the reason for that is not only is this a critical level, but if January opens right where December closes or thereabouts and does not come up here first, okay, so we get something like this where January comes down here, tests this level first, then you're going to have an imbalance up here based on this December candle. Now, if January opens and comes up here and tests this level and then comes down here, I think we could see a bounce, but it might not be as aggressive. All right, so important things to keep in mind here as we head into January of 2025. Now, the long-term time frames that I've talked about, okay, this is where it gets really interesting. And I've showed this before, but looking at the 3-month time frame here on the EURUSD. So this is the FXCM chart. And in case you're wondering, the pricing pre-euro is the pre-euro basket of currencies. So this actually uses pre-euro pricing in order to get data back here in the 1980s and 1990s. Now, if you'll notice on the 3-month chart, off of the closing price from back here, all the way back here in the 1980s, you can see that we have a perfect trend line off of these lows. And I was talking about this all the way back here, okay, all the way back here in 2022, 2023, saying that I don't think this is a coincidence. And the fact that the euro is trading below it could be a critical factor going forward. And sure enough, even though the market spent a lot of time just going sideways here, okay, this did end up being a top. So the reason I'm showing you this is because even though this is a 3-month chart, and even though there's going to be a lot of opportunities in between, if you're looking for a buy down here around parity, okay, you've got to keep this in mind because anybody looking for the euro to just do this, right, and the dollar to collapse and the euro to just, do this over the coming years, I think you've got to keep this in mind because this is a critical trend line here for the euro. And furthermore, too, you could even take this one step further and look at this as a channel off of these highs up here, right? And you can see where the market did come, very close to the top of this channel back here. In fact, it looks like it retested it. So again, I think that, anybody looking for the dollar to just collapse over the coming years and the euro to rally, you've got to keep this chart in mind because the market tested a massive confluence of resistance up here at these recent range highs, okay? So there is the chance that over the coming years, again, this is very long-term, guys, I get that. But I did want to show it just because there's not many people talking about this. I think that over the coming years, let's say 3 to 5 years, we could see the euro even trading below parity. So that's certainly something to keep in mind here. And again, the reason I'm pointing this out is even though there are going to be a ton of opportunities in between that, right? And it might seem insignificant, you've got to keep that in mind when you're looking here at this chart because the top of that channel I just showed you comes in up here off of these highs, right? So even if we get the move down here to test this level, which I think we will, and we get the bounce from here, again, expecting the market to just continue rallying up toward, 1.1, 1.4, et cetera, or 1.14, is a little bit unlikely given the fact that we have that downtrend, we have the top of that channel, we have the break below this trend line here off from the 1980s, et cetera. Okay, so personally, guys, what I'm looking for here from the euro as we go into 2025, just to kind of wrap up, is I do think we are going to get that move down here toward parity. And that's going to be the case as long as the market stays below these recent range lows. Okay, so right around 1.045. And then from there, I'm looking for a buying opportunity down here in this area. for the move back here to test those range lows, really between 1.035 all the way up toward about 1.05. All right. So that's what I'm looking for from the euro as we head into 2025. Now, let's take a look here at the DXY just to wrap up. And this is something that we've talked about. This chart might look a little bit crazy, but it's actually very, very simple. We had a channel that developed back here. So this is what to focus on. This is what we've been focused on here for months. You can see we got the fake out below this. Okay, so we got the reclaim at 102.60. This is where I was getting bullish on the euro, and we got the move back here toward this trend line. All right, and you can see we even got a perfect retest of that trend line back there in October, November for the push higher up toward 108. So really for the Euro USD, the fact that we had this failed breakdown back here, and you have the top of this channel coming in up here between 110 and 111. And furthermore, just like with the euro, we have this weekly candle back here where we have the imbalance right through this area. Now, in this case, it comes in around 109.50, okay, 109.5. Now, whether or not that will be enough for the euro to get down there toward that key level, we'll have to wait and see. It very well could be. However, keep in mind too that we could also see the DXY come up here and test this level, okay, and then even wick up here to test the top of this channel, and then we get the pullback. Okay, so I do think that this area up here is the one to watch for a potential top in the USD in 2025. But until that time, there is still a lot of real estate to work with here for the DXY for the push up here into this area. Okay, so I'm still bullish on the dollar. We could see pullbacks from this market. It is so far holding above this area, right? But just kind of going sideways. We could still see the push below these lows heading into 2025. But from there, I still like the DXY up there toward that 110 area in Q1 2025. Subscribe to the channel and click the bell for notifications. Don't forget to join us in VIP. Claim your 90% off lifetime access. See the link in the description of this video, or if you're on the website, click on that join VIP link. Happy New Year, trade well out there, and I will talk to you again in 2025.